Hello, everyone. Coach Harrison Singer here, and I am here today to discuss a little sports psychology, doing some work for the Department of Sports Administration at St. Thomas University here in Miami, Florida. For those of you who don't know me, I have been coaching at the collegiate level and coaching college basketball now for 18 years at the Division I, Division II, and Division III level. Most recently, I was working and coaching at St. Thomas University. And what we have here is a presentation which is based on team cohesion, team chemistry, and togetherness as far as building a team, bringing a team together, and all based on sports psychology in the Department of Sports Administration here at St. Thomas University. So let's get right into it. This is a psychological skills training demonstration we're giving here. The 4Cs method is something that I came up with years ago while reading a few different Phil Jackson books. Phil Jackson being the infamous head coach for the championship Chicago Bulls. I'm sure everyone knows him in the sports world and all across the world as Michael Jordan's NBA basketball coach. So the 4Cs are based on cohesion, chemistry, circle, which we'll get into, and communication. Psychological skills training. As we have here a great quote from some psychology reading in this particular course. Any position in the sports and exercise field requires understanding of the process and dynamics of groups. What I have here is what I call a really tight team huddle. I thought it was pretty important to give a visual there because what you have there is you have your chemistry, you have your communication, the circle is clearly locked up, and from a cohesion standpoint, all of those guys are on the same page there. I have on the bottom that this is something that I've developed over 18 years of coaching at the college level, which is a program to improve mental toughness through team cohesion, chemistry, and communication. Improving cohesion and chemistry in sports through circle talk communication. I thought this was really important to put this in here. Another longtime, famous, and one of my favorite NBA coaches, Pat Riley. I've heard it over and over again over the years. Teamwork is the essence of life. I don't only just say that because it pertains to basketball or sports, but I say it's the essence of life because when you're working with athletes, especially young athletes and college athletes, you're really grooming them for the real world, whether it be the business world, the work world, work with their family. But the essence of teamwork is what this is really all about. Learning how to communicate with your family, your team, your peers, your boss, different job situations you'll find yourself in. So coaches are really educators and mentors first, which is why I thought this was extremely important to include. Although a simple quote, teamwork is actually the essence of life. So we have the 4Cs method of cohesion, chemistry, circle, and communication here. Over the 18 years of my college coaching experience at all four levels now, Division I, Division II, Division III, and most recently NAIA here at St. Thomas University. The three-phase process starts with administering a personal questionnaire. I suggest doing this in either the preseason or the new year with your team. So this is essentially when you first get them on campus or when you first start the season. I recommend administering the personal questionnaire, which is exactly that. So we'll get into it a few slides later. Phase number 2 in the process is introducing and practicing what I call circle talk, which is a team exercise, and I recommend that on a weekly basis, which we'll get into that a little further as well in a few more slides. Third on the phase list is meeting with each and every player on a monthly basis to nurture the relationship, open communication based on steps 1 and 2 from above. Phase 1, let's elaborate on that a little further. So we're administering a personal questionnaire to the players, or what I call an IM form, essentially for your players to fill out so you can get familiar with who they are, learn about them a little bit on a personal level. It's typically very interesting and will tell you a lot about both your new players and also returning players as well. Once again, this is something I highly recommend early on in the year when they either get to campus or the beginning of the preseason, so you know specific details about your players coming into the season to know how to work with them, communicate with them, and coach them up better. So, phase one, this is the personal questionnaire or IM form. You have what I would say is relatively generic information on here to start. For instance, the name and birthday. Parents and siblings is where it starts to get a little bit more personal. You can certainly understand a lot about a person or a player by understanding where they are in their family, as far as if they're a single child, if they're in a family of 5, 6, maybe 8, if they're from a large family. So I think number 2 there is extremely important. Favorite movie, favorite TV shows, musicians, favorite books, things of that nature will tell you a lot about the player or the person's individual interests, and there might be some commonality there. What I love about favorite books are you can get an idea of what's interesting to that kid or player. Favorite professional athlete will certainly give you an idea of what their favorite sport is. You can elaborate on that as far as why that's their favorite athlete. 3 things we need to do as a team to be successful. That's always nice to hear because they might bring something with them from other teams, but it can kind of tell you how that individual or that athlete puts certain things in perspective or prioritizes different things. Basketball related goal for the season is always interesting for me to hear. That will certainly tell you a lot about their personal goals and team goals. As we move over to the second side of this clip, I asked them to describe themselves in one word to get an idea of how they view themselves. Of course, a person they admire, whether they're still living or not. Anyone that they look up to or admire certainly gives me a good idea of their interest levels and things of that nature. Hobbies outside of sports. I always love hearing different interests outside of sports just to kind of get an idea of how well-rounded they are and to see if there's any common interest there. I like the next question, my friends like me because. That'll certainly tell me a lot about them as far as their personality. Personal goals for the year is also one that's pretty telling. A career they aspire to have. I like this question because, like I mentioned before, the goal is inevitably to set the player and students up for success, not just on the court or the field, but also in life, whether it's a job they're looking for. And I pride myself on looking to get players that I work with, especially at the college level, the kind of jobs and internships and job placement that they're interested in. So during their years in college, I think it's really important to get an idea of what they aspire to do, what kind of jobs they might be interested in, and essentially plant that seed so we can water it later when it's time to find them a job in the real world. Let's move on down here to our last 3 questions. The best advice they've ever received. Of course, that sounds great. I would give anything to meet somebody they'd be interested in meeting, so that will tell me a lot who maybe one of their mentors or someone they find to be interesting would be. And then to describe to me what success would be. So this is a great informational form right here that'll tell you a lot about who you're working with, and it might change year to year, but that'll give you a great idea of who you're working with, and probably actually tell you some things you've never thought about or some interesting things that you didn't know about this person. So let's segue here to phase 2. Phase 2 is to introduce and practice the circle talk exercise with the team. So I suggest doing this by meeting with the team in a circle type setting. And I say shoulder to shoulder because it's important to have a nice even circle so everybody feels even. And when I say even, I mean on the same wavelength. Everybody can see each other's eyes and there's clear eye contact. There's nobody too far in the circle and there's nobody too far outside the circle. So it's really everyone on the same level playing field. So that's number one. Some of that might sound simplistic, but they are very important details to make sure that everyone's in some level of comfort there on the same page when sharing some of the questions and feedback we're going to get into here a little further. So number two is that this can be on the court, this can take place in the field, this can take place in a larger classroom setting. Of course, this all depends on the size of the team and, of course, availability on campus or where you can get a location to be able to do something like this. But typically on the basketball court, we do this right at center court, right where your logo might be, depending on your gym or your field. And it also gives you a sense of ownership of your court as well, or your field rather, depending on the sport. So let's segue to number three here. Bullet number three is you want to task the group to give one piece of praise for a teammate and one thing that they want to improve upon. And the questions could change accordingly throughout the year. If things happen to get a little stale, or as the coach, if you think maybe a different question might resonate better from week to week, that's certainly something you could take your own liberty of as a coach. But the objective is for teammates and peers to give each other praise for a teammate. Hopefully it's somebody different each week. Sometimes guys that are buddies might buddy up on each other and highlight something that their friend has been doing well. But I think it's a great way to learn your team, learn who's close with who. It's a great opportunity for guys that don't know each other well to give praise to a teammate or a peer that where they might not have that line of communication. So it's a great open forum for young athletes and young students to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, and for you as a coach to hear these things and also share. I like to share, be the first one to share typically, and give praise for one or two of my players before giving something that I need to improve on or something that I'd like to work on to improve myself or get better with from a week-to-week basis. So that's to give you an idea of a bullet point number three there. I do recommend doing this on a weekly basis to build team chemistry, and recommended twice a week, but once a week is extremely beneficial as well. And the final bullet point here is that I have found this exercise extremely useful on Mondays as what I call a motivation Monday, as well as Fridays before the weekend or some weekend competition as what I call Friday feedback. I also had to add under here that it's such a great cohesive team element that I wanted to add in an amazing quote by Michael Jordan, of course, that talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships. So although it might seem a little cliche, I thought it goes hand in hand with the exercise in phase two here. So let's segue to phase two continued. The circle talk exercise with the team and the 7 types of social support that we read about or know about through the Weinberg reading in a particular psychology course that we're taking here at St. Thomas University. You see here that the circle talk encompasses listening support, emotional challenge support, and then we segue to the other side of the page, and it also encompasses reality confirmation support, task challenge support, and personal assistance support. So I think the circle talk in phase two is great because what's going to happen is you're going to have natural, organic conversation come from the circle talk. Like I mentioned early on, there's going to be individuals commenting and giving praise to other individuals on the team that they might not be particularly close with, and others giving affirmation on teammates that are doing extremely well. And then you'll probably also hear guys critiquing themselves, and as a coach, you want to take mental notes week to week as far as what these mental critiques are of the individuals themselves so you can help them reach their goals and get to where they want to be, and use this exercise to help each and every individual better themselves and what they want to improve upon. But inevitably, it's really a team goal and a team exercise, so the whole team grows together through this. So I have on the bottom here another quote from the Weinberg psychology reading in this St. Thomas University psychology course. I thought it was important to emphasize, enable athletes to engage in shared discussion and decision making, which is exactly what phase 2 is with the circle talk conversation. So I have here one of my circle talks, and you can see everyone locked in, dialed in. As you can see, the shoulder to shoulder. Of course, you can't see eye contact right now, but in a circle, I'm able to see everyone's eyes in the circle. And once again, you want to enable the athletes to engage in shared discussion and decision making. Let's segue to phase 3 of the psychological skills training process. And phase 3 is where you really want to get intimate with each and every player, in the sense that you want to meet with them one-on-one each month to nurture the relationship and give them feedback on how they're doing from the circle talk. Ask them things like how they feel about the feedback. Are they getting better? Are they improving upon the things that they want to improve upon? Things of that nature. As we segue to bullet point number 2 here, it's an opportunity for you as the coach and the athlete to build your open communication, to ask questions in a more intimate one-on-one meeting type setting. And also, you want to know what's going on based on phase 1 and 2, which is what we discussed already. As far as bullet point number 3, this is your chance to get to know your player or the personnel, build trust with them, build an understanding and a sense of togetherness, which is really essentially what this is all about. So the benefits of the psychological skills training 4C method is to, of course, build cohesion, build chemistry with the group, build circle talk skills, which will essentially not only help them on the court, but also in the real world, and build the communication within the team. And I'm sure everyone's heard communication is key, but that also transitions extremely well from working with teams on the court or the field into the real world, whether it be with your family, teaching, or in the job market, or when it comes to working a job or in the business world. So watch your team build in every way and build each other up. Psychological skills training. Every position in sports and the exercise field requires understanding of the process and dynamics of groups. And through these dynamics of phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, the group gets to know each other extremely well on many levels, and I've even heard teams start giving each other praise for things off the court or off the field, in addition to sports-related things as well, after the exercise goes on for a few weeks and players start to get to know each other really well. I thought that this second quote at the bottom of this slide here really resonated with me and the psychological skills training that we're discussing, because it was really important to understand that the championship Chicago Cubs team, the players discussed the closeness and the players of the players and the coaching staff as everyone sacrifice individual glory for team success, which I think resonates 100% with what we're focusing on in this report here. And then right here, what you have from all that is inevitably a winning culture. So I hope this was helpful. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking this evening. I absolutely love the circle talk. It's incredible with every group that I've ever worked with. It's really fun for coaches to tweak the questions every week or every other week. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you can certainly find my information online, Coach Harrison Singer or Coach H, on the St. Thomas University website, or you can just Google it. I'm happy to answer any questions anytime. But it was an absolute pleasure to speak with you guys. Keep pushing yourselves, keep pushing your teams, get it done together, and keep winning. Take care and be safe.